If you are sitting at your desk right now, staring at your monitor, and your brain has flashed the idea of quitting for the thousandth time this week, but your palms get sweaty and you quietly click back to your inbox instead, do not click away from this video. What you are experiencing is not a lack of courage. It is not imposter syndrome. It is a highly calculated structural trap that the modern corporate labor market has built around you, and your boss knows exactly how well it is working. Right now, millions of brilliant, capable professionals are voluntarily trapping themselves in dead-end jobs, accepting stagnant wages, and quietly surrendering their financial futures. They think they're playing it safe. They think they're surviving a tough economy. But in reality, they're committing a very slow, very polite form of financial suicide. For the next 20 minutes, we are going to tear the roof off the most toxic economic phenomenon of our decade, the low-hire, low-fire gridlock. I'm going to show you exactly why your brain is actively working against your bank account right now. And more importantly, I'm going to break down the exact, math-backed, traditional financial blueprints that high-net-worth individuals use to build an unbreakable escape hatch. No gambling, no speculative trends, just the raw, mathematical power of compound interest, cash flow defense, and mainstream asset allocation that Wall Street has used for a century. If you miss this window, you are not just losing a few years of career growth, you are permanently surrendering your leverage. Let us get into it. Turn on the news tonight, and you will see a panel of experts in tailored suits pointing at a chart. They will tell you that the United States economy is resilient. They will proudly announce that the unemployment rate is sitting comfortably around 4.3%. I am Gus, and welcome to Gus Invests. If you are gripping your cash right now, losing sleep over recession headlines, do not click away. Today, we are not going to talk about complicated macroeconomic jargon. We are going to look at pure math and historical facts. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly why cash is king is the biggest lie of 2026, and you will learn a completely counterintuitive financial discipline. On paper, it looks like a victory. But if you or anyone you know has actually tried to update a resume and apply for a job in the last 6 months, you know those numbers are lying by omission. The labor market has not collapsed, it has frozen solid. In a normal economic cycle, the rules of the game are brutally simple. When the market is booming, companies hire aggressively. You can jump ship, secure a massive sign-on bonus, and bump your salary by 30% just by updating your LinkedIn profile. When the market crashes, companies panic and execute mass layoffs. Everyone tightens their belts. But right now, we are living in a bizarre, unnatural purgatory. Most major corporations have stopped doing mass layoffs. Why? Because during the volatility of the past few years, they already cut all the excess fat. The people left in the building are the load-bearing walls. If they fire you, the system physically stops working. But at the exact same time, they have instituted absolute ironclad hiring freezes. You look at job boards and see thousands of open positions. Industry insiders call these ghost jobs. Human resource departments leave these listings active to signal to the market, to their competitors, and to their exhausted internal staff that they are still growing. Look, they say, we are trying to find help for you. But your resume is going into a black hole. Even if you manage to secure an interview, the process is dragged out over an absurd 6 or 7 rounds spanning 3 months, only to end with an automated email stating that the position was eliminated due to internal restructuring. This is not an accident. This is capital defense, and it creates a psychological bear trap that is far more dangerous than simply being unemployed. When the market enters a low-hire, low-fire gridlock, your nervous system registers the environment and completely shuts down your offensive capabilities. Your brain enters pure survival mode. Neuroscience tells us that the human brain's threat detection system, specifically the amygdala, fears uncertainty exponentially more than it dislikes current discomfort. When you think about resigning, your prefrontal cortex, the logical, math-doing part of your brain, tries to calculate the benefits of a new job. But before it can even finish the equation, your amygdala has already flooded your body with cortisol. It looks at the frozen job market, sees the ghost jobs, hears the horror stories of 6-month job hunts, and screams at you, "Do not move. If you stand up, you will lose your chair and there are no empty chairs left." So you stay, even if your manager is a nightmare, even if your daily tasks are draining your soul, even if your annual raise was a pathetic 2%, while real-world inflation on groceries, housing, and insurance was closer to 5%. Your brain whispers that staying is the responsible thing to do. And because of that biological hijack, you become the most profitable asset on the company's balance sheet. Corporate executives look at their internal retention data and realize something incredibly lucrative. Their employees are terrified. And when employees are terrified of the external market, you do not need to give them raises. You do not need to promote them. You can actually take the workload of the 3 people who quit last year, divide it up, and dump it onto the desks of the people who stayed without paying them a single dollar more. They call it quiet promoting. You get all the extra responsibility, all the extra stress, and absolutely zero extra compensation. You think you are clinging to stability. But let us run the actual, cold, hard math on what this stability costs you over a decade. If you're making $75,000 a year and you accept a stagnant 2% annual raise for 5 years while inflation averages 4%, you are not breaking even. Your purchasing power is bleeding out. You are taking a pay cut every single day you badge into that office. Your career is supposed to be your primary wealth-generating engine. It is supposed to function like a compounding asset. But in a low-hire, low-fire market, if you sit passively at your desk, your career becomes a depreciating bond. So what is the traditional advice? The internet is full of productivity gurus telling you to just hustle harder. They tell you to start a side gig driving for an app, or spend your weekends doing freelance graphic design for pennies, or aggressively network on LinkedIn until someone takes pity on you. That advice is mathematically broken. You cannot out-hustle a structural market freeze by trading more of your exhausted hours for low-wage secondary income. Your time is finite. Your energy is finite. If you are already burning out at a job that demands 50 hours a week, trying to grind out another 20 hours on the weekend is a straight path to a medical bill, not financial freedom. The people who truly build wealth, the ones who look at a frozen job market and do not feel an ounce of panic, operate on a completely different framework. They do not look for a second job. They build a second balance sheet. They understand that the only way to beat a rigged labor market is to separate their survival from their W-2 income. And they do it using the most boring, universally understood, and heavily regulated financial instruments on the planet. Let us build your escape hatch. We are going to construct a 2-part traditional financial defense system that removes the anxiety from your career and puts the leverage back in your hands. Step 1 is establishing the FU fund. I am not talking about a standard emergency fund where you save 3 months of rent in a checking account yielding 0.01%. A standard emergency fund is defensive. An FU fund is offensive. It is a psychological weapon. When you are trapped in a low-hire market, your biggest vulnerability is cash flow dependency. If you miss one paycheck, you cannot pay your mortgage. That dependency is what allows your employer to exploit you. To sever that dependency, you need to redirect every single dollar of your disposable income into a highly liquid, high-yield environment. Right now, traditional financial markets offer something we have not seen in over a decade: significant yield on cash. You open a brokerage account with any major established institution, Fidelity, Vanguard, Charles Schwab. You take your excess cash and you deploy it into short-term United States Treasury bills or a premium money market fund. These are not risky tech stocks. These are instruments backed by the full faith and credit of the United States government. They are currently yielding around 4 to 5% annually. If you can ruthlessly cut your lifestyle inflation and build a reserve of 6 to 9 months of living expenses in these risk-free vehicles, something magical happens in your brain. the amygdala stops firing. When your boss drops a massive, unreasonable project on your desk at 5 p.m. on a Friday, the physiological response changes because you know, mathematically, that if you politely say no and they decide to fire you for it, you can walk out the door, pay all your bills for the next 9 months, and actually earn 5% interest while you sit on your couch recovering from burnout. The FU fund buys you the ultimate luxury in a frozen job market, the ability to set boundaries without the fear of starvation. But cash only protects you in the short term. To permanently escape the gravity of the corporate gridlock, we have to move to step 2, aggressive ownership of the broader economy. This is where the real wealth transfer happens. If your company is keeping wages flat but maintaining high profit margins, where is that money going? It is going to the shareholders. If you cannot beat the corporate system as an employee, you must join it as an owner.
This brings us to the ultimate wealth-building machine in human history, the S&P 500 Index Fund. When you buy a low-cost S&P 500 index fund, you are not picking a single stock hoping it goes up. You are buying a fractional ownership stake in the 500 largest, most profitable companies in the United States. You are buying Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Berkshire Hathaway, and Johnson & Johnson all at once. Historically, over the long term, the S&P 500 has returned an average of roughly 8 to 10% annually, assuming you reinvest the dividends. Let us put that into a concrete, undeniable mathematical reality. Imagine you are 30 years old. You feel stuck in your job. Instead of buying a new car to make your commute feel better, you take $500 every single month, money that used to go toward lifestyle creep, and you automate it into an S&P 500 index fund. You never look at the daily price, you never try to time the market, you just buy the American economy every month like clockwork. If you do that for 30 years, assuming a historical 8% return, you will have contributed $180,000 of your own money, but your account balance will be worth over $740,000. That's over $500,000 generated purely by the compounding effort of other people's companies working for you. When you understand this math, your entire relationship with your current job changes. You no longer view your employer as a benevolent provider. You start viewing your W-2 job as a venture capital funding source for your own life. You are simply trading them your time to extract the capital you need to buy ownership in the broader market. Every time you hit buy on an index fund, you are buying back a tiny fraction of your future time. You are replacing your labor income with capital income. This is what behavioral economists call the shift from an active income mindset to an asset allocator mindset. When your investments reach a point where the annual average return covers your basic living expenses, often calculated by the 25x rule, where your portfolio is 25 times your annual expenses, you achieve true financial independence. But you do not even need to wait until you hit the full 25x number to feel the relief. There's a milestone called Coast FI, or Coast Financial Independence. This is the exact moment when the money you already have invested in the market will grow to fully fund your traditional retirement by age 65, without you ever needing to add another dime. The day you hit Coast FI, the invisible trap of the low-hire, low-fire market shatters, because from that day forward, you only need to earn enough money to cover your current daily living expenses. You never have to stress about saving for the future again because your past self already funded it. If you want to quit your high-stress corporate job and go work at a bookstore, or become a barista, or take a lower-paying job at a nonprofit that you actually care about, you can. The math permits it. You beat the corporate gridlock not by finding a better boss, but by firing yourself from the anxiety of the system entirely. But knowing this is only 10% of the battle. The other 90% is executing it when the entire world is screaming at you to consume. When you leave this video, the algorithm is going to show you car reviews, house tours, and lifestyle vlogs. Consumer culture is designed to make you spend your entire paycheck so that you remain dependent on your employer. That dependency is the glue that holds the modern labor market together. To implement the FU fund and the aggressive index strategy, you have to practice radical, almost uncomfortable financial defense. You have to audit your life. Do you need the luxury apartment, or do you need the capital to buy your freedom? Do you need the brand new financed vehicle, or do you need to buy back your Tuesday afternoons? Every dollar you spend on something you do not genuinely value is a dollar you are handing back to the system that is currently refusing to promote you. So here is your immediate actionable blueprint. Do not wait for the macroeconomic environment to change. The Federal Reserve is not coming to save you. The Human Resources Department is not coming to save you. First, tomorrow morning, log into your banking portal. Automate a transfer of a specific, painful amount of money to happen the day after your paycheck hits. Send it directly to a high-yield account or an index fund at a separate brokerage. If the money is not in your primary checking account, your brain cannot trick you into spending it. Second, stop treating your current job like a family. It is a transaction. Fulfill your responsibilities, be professional, and log off at 5 p.m. Take the emotional energy you are wasting on corporate politics and redirect it entirely into managing your personal balance sheet and upskilling in areas that the market actually values.
Third, write down your walk-away number. What is the exact dollar amount in your high-yield cash reserve that will allow you to sleep soundly at night, even if your company goes under tomorrow? Is it $20,000? Is it $50,000? Write that number down, stick it to your monitor, and let it be the only metric of success you care about this year. You are a capable, intelligent human being, currently running hardware that was built for physical survival, operating in a financial environment designed to exploit your psychological blind spots. The urgency to secure your own capital is real. The low-hire, low-fire market is not a temporary glitch. It is the new baseline reality of corporate efficiency. The companies have figured out how to do more with less, and they have realized that a fearful workforce is a cheap workforce. You cannot change the hiring practices of Fortune 500 companies, but you can absolutely change your exposure to them. You can build the structural, mathematical defense mechanisms that render their hiring freezes completely irrelevant to your peace of mind. The decisions that dictate your financial reality 10 years from now are not the big, dramatic career moves. They are the quiet, boring, highly disciplined allocations of capital you make on a random Tuesday when no one is watching. You know the trap now. You see the ghost jobs for what they are. You understand the biological response that keeps you paralyzed. And you have the traditional, undeniable mathematical tools to build your way out. Now, I want to hear your reality. In the comments down below, tell me, what is the most absurd, quiet promoting task your employer has tried to dump on you since this hiring freeze started? How much extra work are you doing right now for the exact same salary you made 2 years ago? Let's get the truth out in the open, because recognizing the exploitation is the first step to starving it. If this breakdown helped you see your career and your money through a clearer, more powerful lens, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. We take the emotion out of money and replace it with math every single week. Build your defenses, buy back your time, and I will see you in the next one.